new here, hey, welcome to my channel. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. I would really appreciate it, and I'm so happy you're here. So for today's video, as you can see, I'm looking a little wacky, but I decided to recreate Lily Collins' Met Gala look. This makeup is so elegant and simple, but so dramatic. Like the lashes, the moles, like everything looks so put together. I don't know, I really like it. I think that it was super easy to do and it's super fun, and it's definitely out of my comfort zone. I don't do stuff like this that often, but that's pretty much it. That's the intro. If you guys want to see me recreate Lily Collins' Met Gala makeup look, then make sure you just keep on watching and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, my hair is already done. I've got this little poof. I didn't have a headband or anything, you know, to kind of mimic her hair, but I tried at my best. I did this little poof and I think it looks pretty cute. But yeah, so I've already primed my skin off camera before we started, and we can just jump right into the video. Lily Collins is known for her bold, beautiful brows, so that's what I'm gonna try to accomplish today. She has big, beautiful eyebrows and I literally love them. So let's just go ahead and get started. First, I'm gonna use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. This is in the shade medium brown, I believe, and I'm going to just fill in my eyebrows. And I'm gonna use this to just get that initial shape. So for this, one eyebrow is more of like a straight brow and the other one has a tiny bit of an arch. I don't know if that was on purpose or if it just kind of happened. It happens to me every day, so we're just gonna go with it. So I'm gonna start right here at the end of the brow. Also, ignore the fact that my eyelids are stained pink. They're stained pink from a look earlier today. It's gonna be all covered up when we go on and finish the look, so just don't worry about it for now. I'm just gonna brush these brow hairs down. We have that first initial outline. It's a little bit more arched than I wanted it to be, but no big deal. It doesn't have to be perfect. So for this eyebrow, I'm gonna make it a little bit more arched. So if you can see the difference on camera, this brow, I kind of just went along the curve, barely arched it at all. And on this one, I really went in on that arch and made it kind of prominent. Your brows don't have to be perfect right now. We're gonna go in, we're gonna fill them in, and then we're gonna clean them up with concealer. So as you can see, this one is a little bit more straight. It still has an arch to it, definitely, but this one has a bigger arch and it's just gonna be slightly different than this one. Eyebrows are not supposed to be twins. They're sisters or distant cousins. No big deal. To finish filling these eyebrows in, I'm going in with the Goof Proof Brow Pencil by Benefit in the shade 4. Okay, I'm not going in with this because it just broke. Gonna go in with the shade number 3. It's a little bit lighter than I wanted it to be, and it's a little more warm toned than I want it to be, but we can definitely make this work. So I'm just gonna go in and fill in my eyebrows. I'm kind of pressing down a little bit harder than I normally would, just because I want these to be really bold. So make sure as you're filling them in, you're going back through and spooling them out. Just make sure you're evenly dispersing that product through your eyebrows. Like I said, it definitely does not need to be perfect right away. You can fix it as we go. So I'm gonna move on to the next brow and do the exact same thing. So as you can see, these are a little messy and a little crazy. We definitely are gonna clean them up. However, we're gonna keep them a little bit thick and a little fuller just because that is normally how Lily Collins' eyebrows look. Going to carve my eyebrows out. Really focus on carving out the bottom portion right here under your brow bone, because this is where we want it to be the most precise and the most like clean cut. We're gonna leave the top looking a little messy. We are gonna clean it up just a tiny bit. So I'm just gonna take a beauty sponge and I'm just gonna kind of blend that downward a little bit. Be really careful to make sure that you're not gonna mess up those lines from your eyebrows. Now to get my eyes ready for shadow, I'm just gonna take that excess concealer that I have on the back of my hand I'm just gonna prime my eyelids. And this is gonna help cover up that pink from, you know, the look I did earlier. So to make my brows look a little bit fluffier up front, I'm just going to take a little bit of brow gel. This is the L'Oreal brow gel. And I'm just gonna kind of run it through the front of my brow and just kind of set them in place, but like have them sticking up a little bit. Does that make sense? Just kind of making them look a little fluffier up front. I don't even know if you can see that on camera, but they look much, you know, fluffier and realistic, and they have a little more texture to them. And I look like a crazy person with this concealer all over my eyes. But now that we have the eyebrows done and the eyelids ready to go for shadow, it is time to move on to this iconic makeup look from the Met Gala. Okay, so I zoomed you guys in a little bit more, and I didn't realize that my camera wasn't recording while I started this eye, but I'm taking the NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette, and this is in the shade, or the Brights palette. This is the colorful one, and this is the closest shade to that purple that Lily Collins wore for the Met Gala. So I'm just gonna pack this all over my lid to start with. The shade is pretty pigmented. It's also really beautiful. So this one shade goes all the way up to her eyebrow pretty much. So I'm going to pack it on pretty high, and then I'm just gonna blend it out using the same shade, but you know, a different brush. This brush is, I'm not sure what, it came in a Profusion palette. It's really awesome. This is such a good like flat shader brush. This is a really great blending brush too. So she doesn't wing it out or anything. It pretty much just stays in this little area. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take the other end of this brush and tap a little bit into that purple shade, and I'm going to start blending her up to my eyebrow. This is a little darker than I wanted it to be, but you get the point. It's very, very similar. This look is literally just so simple and so elegant, but so fun too. Like the little, you know, bump in my hair, and just, it really gives me some like 60s, 70s vibes, and I'm here for it. Just keep going back and forth between packing it on and blending it out. Just really getting it as intense as you can. So that's pretty good for now. If you see me like looking down, it's because I'm looking back at the picture for reference. And that's pretty much all she did for eyeshadow wise. Up here at the top, she did take this all the way up to her brow bone, so I am gonna do the same. Okay, so that's pretty much the eyeshadow portion. Now we can move on to the winged liner. Now, winged liner is the death of me. It literally takes me so long, and I can never get it even. That's why I never do winged liner. But this look is so freaking iconic. I have to do it. So the fun thing about this is that she actually takes the winged liner and she extends it out a little bit. She also extends it out into her inner corner to make her eyes look bigger, along with bringing the black down to her waterline as well. It is so good, and I'm going to try my best. We'll see how this turns out. So all of my liquid liners are kind of dried out. So I'm actually going to take a Wet n Wild liquid lipstick. This is in the shade So Noir Cool. It's just a black liquid lipstick, and I'm gonna use this for my winged liner today. And if I don't talk a lot in this part, it's because I'm really trying to focus and not mess this up. So I'm just taking an Aesthetica brush. It's like a little tiny liner brush. I'm just gonna saturate it. Good thing about doing my eyes first is if I mess up on the wing, I can just restart. All right, so I'm just gonna start here at my outer corner. So it extends out a little bit farther than I wanted it to, but that can be fixed easily I will be back in 0.5 seconds with my fixed wing liner. So I'm gonna stop right here for now. I'm not gonna extend it into my inner corner or down here on my waterline until I finish the rest of my face makeup. So I'm going to just pause and I'm going to do the other eye off camera and I will be back to finish the rest of the look. So I'm back and my winged liner is about as even as it's gonna get, so we can move on to the face. As I mentioned before, my face is already primed and ready to go, so we can go in with foundation. So in the pictures that I've looked at, she has very matte skin and it's more of like a light to medium coverage. This is really unfortunate for me because I love a good full coverage, but honestly, it looked so good on her. Like, her makeup was so simple and elegant, like, I can't. Another thing that I noticed was that she was very pale, like kind of ghostly. And yes, that's kind of just her skin tone, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go in with two different foundations. I have the Becca Aqualuminous foundation and the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter foundation. This is definitely a matte foundation and this is more luminous, but I'm gonna mix them together because I have dry skin and I need a little bit of moisture on there. And these are both pretty pale. They're definitely my winter foundations. But we're gonna just mix these together and kind of get like a concoction. I'm gonna go really light-handed with the Fenty Beauty because this is definitely full coverage. But we're gonna mix these together and see how it turns out. So I'm just gonna take my beauty sponge and start blending this out. Make sure to get this all the way up in your hairline and around those eyebrows. Be careful around your wings, you don't want to mess those up. It definitely took me about 10,000 years to get them to even look remotely even. That's why I don't do wings. I'm going in with a little excess product on my nose because that tends to be where my foundation and stuff breaks up the most during the day. So I just want to make sure that my nose is looking snatched. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that concoction and blend it down my neck. To do that, I'm just going to take a Morphe Y6 brush. I don't think they sell this brush anymore. They sell the M6, which I think is the same thing. So you guys can get that if you don't have this brush already, or any type of flat top kabuki. I like to use these kinds of brushes when I'm blending foundation and stuff down at my neck, just because it makes it easier and it's faster. So now that we have our foundation blended out, we can go in with concealer. And I'm using the Kylie Cosmetics concealer in the shade Pearl. This is really, really light and it's got really good coverage. So I'm just going in with a little bit, just enough to cover up my dark circles and highlight a little bit. Again, I go in with a little excess on my nose and just take your beauty sponge and blend that out. Again, be super careful when you're up here next to that wing. You don't want to get concealer on it and you don't want to mess it up. Okay, so now that our base is nice and even, it's time to go in and set the face. Like I said, this is a very matte look. I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Powder, and this is in the shade Butter. This powder is so finely milled and it is so good. It smells like vanilla and it doesn't have flashback, which is super important. And it really sets the face really well. And I'm looking like a ghost right now, but it's fine.
Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
So now just wipe away the excess powder. So in all the pictures that I saw, she pretty much has no contour. It is very, very light, very minimal blush, and no highlight, which is a very sad day for me. But we are going to go in with a tiny bit of contour powder just to get those sculpted cheekbones. She did go in with a tiny, tiny bit. So I'm going to take this Pure Cosmetics Sculptor palette. I'm going in with the shade Inventor. And I'm going in on a Morphe M530 brush. And I'm literally dipping like 1, 2, and tapping off. And I'm gonna go in with the lightest hand possible, like barely touching my face because I don't want this to be too intense. So I'm just gonna kinda barely sculpt out my cheekbones. She went a little lower than I normally do, but that's probably because She has nicer cheekbones than I do, but we're gonna go with it. I'm barely touching my face. She didn't do any of her forehead. She literally just did her cheekbones. So we're just gonna do our cheekbones and blend it out. So at this point, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of setting spray because my face is dry, my nose especially, and it's breaking up a little bit on my nose. So I wanna just go in with a little setting spray and kind of correct it and get rid of those dry patches on my face. This was the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, and this isn't gonna add any like dewiness or anything to my skin. It's just gonna add a little bit of moisture back into it so that I don't look so lifeless and so dry. And now I'm gonna go in with the tiniest amount of blush. And she went in with like a baby pink blush, so I'm gonna go in with the Morphe 8W blush palette, and I'm gonna start with the shade Sweet. And if that's too light, I'm gonna go in with another shade, but we're gonna start with this light shade. It's a light pink and maybe a tiny dab of golds. And I'm using a Morphe M500. This is just kind of like a wispy brush, and it's really gonna allow me to just barely apply that blush and not get too heavy-handed because I love blush and it'll be really easy for me to go a little bit overboard. So she really focused this right here next to her contour. And that's it. That's all we're gonna go with. And that's even a little bit too much, but we can fix it. So I went in with a tiny bit too much blush. So we're just gonna fix a little bit of, we're just gonna fix that. We're gonna go back in with this trusty little powder brush and just kind of blend it into my skin a little bit better. And that's pretty much it for the face makeup. The next step, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the eyes. Like I said, she brings her winged liner all the way to her inner corner, just kind of to elongate her eyes. So that's what we're gonna do too. I'm gonna go back in with that liquid lipstick, and I'm barely gonna get any product on the brush. We're barely gonna get any product on the brush, and we're just gonna start finishing up this liner. Just remember, slow and steady wins the race. You don't have to do this fast. Just take your time. And now for the scary part, we're gonna add the liner to the inner corner. So just kind of drag it out. It's just elongating the eye. And voila, it just adds a little bit of extra like dimension to the eye. This side looks a little wonky, but it's okay. We're gonna let it pass. So now I'm gonna take that same method and do it underneath my eye. And I'm gonna bring it pretty much all the way in to my inner corner. Again, be careful, take your time. This is not a race. And when you look like a crazy person, that's when you know you're doing it right. Everything is definitely gonna come together when we put on lashes. Until then, we're just gonna look a little bit crazy. So I thought my camera was recording when I finished up the look, but it wasn't. I just went ahead and used that liquid lipstick and made the little moles on my face. I applied lashes up top, and I cut a pair of lashes and applied little pieces to the bottom. She used a strip lash, I'm pretty sure, but I don't have any lashes that would look right. And these definitely look interesting, but I think that they, you know, they do the trick. And then just on the lips, I have a little bit of lip gloss and a little bit of lip liner just to make my lips look a little bit fuller. But this is the finished look, and I actually kind of love it. Like with the hair, like it's definitely not something you could wear every day, and it's definitely interesting, and I do kind of look a little crazy, but honestly, this is such a simple and elegant makeup look, but it's so dramatic. Like with the wing and the lashes and the little moles, like it looks so good. I feel like I'm back in the 60s or the 70s. Like somebody give me a time machine and let me go, because I am ready. You know, I pretty much love how this turned out. It was super simple. It's really easy to recreate. And yeah, this year's Met Gala looks were freaking awesome. I do want to also recreate Kim Kardashian's Met Gala look, so that is going to be Friday's video, so be on the lookout for that. But that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up down below. I would really, really appreciate it. And while you're down there, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because if you haven't already, you're really missing out. And hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload content. It is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you don't want to miss out on my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.